Welcome back, America. I have one of our favorite guests, Ben Domenech. Ben, who is editor-at-large of The Spectator, Fox News contributor. President of the United States is trying to enforce the Constitution, trying to enforce immigration laws like every lawful president has in the past, other than a few recent presidents. He's got the Supreme Court past rulings behind him, He's got the Constitution behind him. He's got the founders behind him. And yet the Democrats want to portray him as an authoritarian, and they're the Democrats with waving around the Constitution. Have you ever seen anything so perverse and outrageous before?
What I haven't seen before, I think, is one of the major parties in America ever embrace something so fundamentally anti-American. And, it's funny. I was thinking when I was listening to your monologue, it seems like a conversation came to mind from more than 100 years ago when G.K. Chesterton came to America. He talked about the very unique nature of a country that would ask someone who was coming to visit, in his case from England, whether they were an anarchist, whether they sought to subvert the government, whether they, intended to do harm to America's institutions, which was something that he read on the form that he was given at the time. How much things have changed is that those are exactly the people it seems like Democrats want to welcome into our cities, into our neighborhoods, into our states, and all across the country in areas where they have authority, in spite of everything that we know about the nature of America, that you want to come here to be an American. It's the same thing, as Chesterton pointed out, that makes us so unique in the sense of being a nation that is founded on a creed. And that's something that matters on a very deep level. The fact that the Democratic Party no longer believes that is not just the reason for their political woes today. It's the reason that we need to have a real conversation about the consequences of what they are doing to changing the way that this country is going to function and work, and how extreme it truly is. If we don't have that conversation, if we don't point it out, despite the kind of backlash that you get for it, then we're going to see our country change before our eyes, and no one will really understand why it happened.
That's so well put, and that's exactly what's happened in many parts of Europe. I don't know what it's going to take. There are examples of things that you and I are talking about. This is not just theory. You see what's happened to great countries in Europe. They're dying, and they're dying from within. And then the politics changes because the numbers don't work for those who are trying to defend the West. On top of this, Ben, we have very influential so-called Islamist scholars in the Middle East, one of whom is a favorite among the Qataris, by the way, who preaches revolution by immigration. In other words, it's sort of an Islamist crusade, a modern crusade. The more people who can get into these Western capitals and the more children they have, the more impact they will have. And you can see it in the United States as well. And yet this is something that is verboten. You're not allowed to talk about it. I mean, I talk about it, but very few other people do.
Well, I think that one of the things that you see going on is that effort, whether it's coming from an Islamist motivation or something else, uses people who describe themselves falsely as being centrists to achieve their aims. You have in Virginia today, the leading candidate of the Democratic Party for governor, Abigail Spanberger, who has said over the years all sorts of crazy things about, how she can't believe that crossing the border itself is even a crime, and that's something that she has tried to get away from because she wants to seem more moderate and centrist. But the truth is that if she's elected, the likelihood is that Virginia will become another one of these states that is viewed as a sanctuary state, because Democrats will prioritize that immediately if she wins that election. That's the kind of thing we see across the country, and you have to call it out, and you have to call it what it is, which is a fundamental effort to change who we are as a nation.
Well, reparations could be coming to California. Gavin Newsom signed 5 pro-reparations bills this week, including authorizing $6 million for California state universities to research slave ancestry. And it doesn't stop there.
I just signed a bill 2 days ago to address these systemic issues, and I've been very progressive in terms of the bills that I've promoted, not just signed, to start to unpack all of those issues.
But Newsom did veto some of the most radical reparations proposals, and polls show the majority of Americans do not back the move, and this race-based push could possibly burn him in 2028. David, I want to bring you in because I saw you kind of reacting during the intro there.
It's the Gavin Newsom effect.
Yeah. Tell us what your thoughts are, reparations in California.
Okay, first of all, Gavin Newsom's a scam artist. Look at what he signed and what he didn't sign. So he vetoes the bill that would allow colleges to give priority admissions to descendants of slaves, but he signs a $6 million authorization to Cal State to research methods of determining slavery ancestry. It's what he does that you should pay attention to. He virtue signals without doing anything. $6 million is going to go to another, shrimp on treadmill type study, and it goes nowhere. When you look at how blacks have voted in California on issues, not on party, they're not for a lot of the issues that Democrats push out there. Reparations, they're gone. Okay, it's generations, it's over. And the ones still trying to push it are those who are just trying to keep blacks in Oakland and other dense populations where they need them, where, by the way, they've failed. You know what the real reparation in this country is?
What?
The real reparation in this country is to give someone the best shot at a good education, the best shot at a good economic environment and a job. The best anti-poverty program is a job. Better than that, a career. You do those things, black, white, Appalachia, East LA, wherever you are in this country, and you will suddenly see a whole difference, or at least a remarkable difference in a population.
And Joey, maybe that's what Americans see. Maybe they agree with David right there on his last point, that putting out money or these type of reparations is just not popular. It's not going to work. And that's why you see in the poll, 55% of people are opposed to what Gavin Newsom is pushing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I just don't really care what California does with California's money, but I want the federal government to take a good hard look at it and make sure, like this healthcare debate, that they're not using federal money to subsidize it some way. They don't take California money they were using here, and then they slide federal dollars in there and move it over there. I think reparations as a concept is just, it's too ambiguous. It's too hard to nail down. If you don't know that you're a descendant of slavery, then obviously being a descendant of slavery hasn't held you back, right? Like you're not, so like it's hard for me to understand that. Listen, if we're gonna, I guess Democrats they truly believe money is the root to all happiness, because if they want North Korea to not build a nuclear weapon, let's send them money. If they want Iran to not do it, let's send them money. If they, whatever it is, they think that you can just throw money at a problem and it's no longer a problem. And we've seen over and over again that it takes more work than that. It takes more effort than that, and that money usually only is a bad solution or a bad ingredient, not a solution. So I'm not going to sit here and campaign against California doing something for reparations if that's what they want to do. People get mad at me because I say things like, last night, Southern California seems like a lost cause. I say that because you're allowing the Republicans that represent you to get voted out. You're losing ground in your state. And it's up to you to fix it, because I can't from Georgia. So if this is another one of those problems, maybe the Republicans in California, the conservatives in California, or the common sense people of all stripes in California will push against this. Also, Gavin Newsom isn't going to be their problem in just a couple of years. He's running for president.
Maybe this is one of the reasons why, though, because it doesn't seem like this reparations idea is particularly popular. And it makes you wonder, why is he pushing this? And for me, Dr. Nicole, it kind of smacks of the student loan forgiveness, a little bit of that vote buying. That's the way it feels.
This is absolutely political showboating by sly guy Gavin Newsom. I mean, look at exactly what we're doing. He is putting forward $6 million to create this Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery, to just set up a process to verify whether Californians is a descendant of slavery. He's not actually saying what he's doing with it. We've already seen that he has vetoed and he has gone against bills doing something for descendants of slavery. So this is political posturing. And to Joey's point, yes, they continue to say this is being done with state money, but we know that they just shift the money around, and California gets a lot of federal taxpayer dollars. And so whatever money they give for reparations or any that they're doing right now, if they're giving state dollars for that, they're bringing in federal dollars for something else, and it's just the shuffling of money. But make no mistake, Gavin Newsom knows what he's doing. He knows reparations is politically unpopular, but he has to make sure that he says he's doing a little bit to make sure that he gets the 45% of people who are for them.
I don't know if it's 45%, but can I ask a common sense question? When did California have institutional slavery?
They entered the Union as a free state, but they did have slaves. It just wasn't legal. So they never, as a state.
So you're going to punish an entire state if he had his way for something they never actually did.
Elections have consequences. If you want to live in California, that's what you get.
I'll take Georgia. I'm in Florida, but I'll take Georgia, which is the South, north of us.
I like Georgia pretty well.
Well, let it be noted that Gavin Newsom is pursuing this multi-million-dollar effort right now to study the descendants of slavers, as the state is also reckoning with a multi-billion-dollar budget deficit. So they can't get their own house in order, and they're just continuing to spend a lot of money.